Alrighty. Okay, welcome to the Grow Pair podcast. And today I've got the very first woman on the show, and that is Joni Viljoen. Welcome to it.
Hi, Des. Thanks for having me.
Oh, it's an absolute pleasure. Thank you for coming out on a Saturday afternoon.
Well, being the first woman, a Saturday afternoon seems good enough for me.
I've been thinking about this conversation a lot. We've known each other for a while, I'd say 10 years roughly.
Yes.
And we've bumped into each other in different ways of business and whatnot. I want to ask you, so you're a mom, right? And we can maybe do this like topic for a little while and then we can jump into your story. But You're a mom. How the heck do you juggle businesses? You've got two at the moment. You were in the financial industry. As a mom, how are you juggling your high-flying life?
Well, you go for the hard one
yes,
first,
eh?
Well, I think the most important thing is being a mom to my boys. I want to leave them with a good sort of understanding about life, right? So even though time is my worst enemy, for me to show them what a person can achieve in their life is a huge thing, right? So it doesn't matter whether you're male or whether you're female, we all have potential and we all need to get to it. And yes, we're going to all have challenges that come our way, but very important is to show them that they can be successful, they can do the things that they set their minds to, and that they still have a mom that's also there for them.
Yeah. Okay. Have a mom. What does that look like?
Okay,
I
can tell you how it feels
what
like.
It's
manic. It's absolutely manic. So usually my day starts at about 6 o'clock in the morning.
Yes. Yeah.
And then what happens is that I get them ready for school, drop them off at school, and then I start my day. So what I've productively done for myself is that I kind of schedule whatever I need to do in the morning so that it's done. Because by the time I collect them from school, I do want to spend time with them. So, to obviously go a little bit deeper, you have to create the life you want. So working in the corporate world was completely delusional, disappointing, despondent because there's strict 8 to 5 and then you always have to be available even after hours. Yeah. Whereas I'm like, this doesn't work for me. So I had to literally sit down and intentionally understand what I want to take away from things. And this is where I came to. I was like, I need to do this, I need a bit of both.
Yes. Okay, so you're talking about what you want then is a bit of both. So you're wanting the business side of things where you can make a difference or whatever else, but then also you're a mom, so 100%. You want the family side
dynamic, yes.
Yeah.
And I think also largely speaking is just independence, is realizing that so many things can happen in life, but just having that independence. And I guess each person has their own little click, or whatever they need.
Yes.
But for me, that was it. So that I can stand on my own 2 feet and that I can actually even show my 2 boys, that you need to learn how to stand on your own 2 feet so that you don't have to worry if anything falls apart somewhere along the line.
Yeah. So your family, so I know your whole family. I'm like mates with one of your brothers. I've bumped into your other brother, but as well in with like, I suppose like church and friends and social circles and all of that. You guys are all business people. I mean, even your dad, it probably started with your dad. I don't know beyond that, but I met your dad, like 7 or 8 years ago. But you guys are just a family of business people.
Yeah,
I think DNA or is it taught? I don't know. I mean, it's
so I think with my parents, they brought us up, I guess, in a similar way. Where they always were involved in different kind of businesses. My dad eventually went into the financial industry, where he eventually pulled me and all my brothers into it.
Yeah, all three of you.
All three of us.
Stage,
we're in it at one stage. I mean, Jason.
He got out the soonest, I think.
Jason is a creative soul.
Yes, he is.
I think he was wiser than us, before.
Yeah.
He got too deep. But my point is that, we've all kind of basically stuck together as a family unit, but through a business environment.
Yes.
So they did cultivate something. I don't know if it's DNA.
So you said you started off in the financial sector. What was it? Feel free to mention company names if you want to. It doesn't really matter. But what was that? And we start at the beginning.
Let's go like that. Okay, so kind of giving you a little bit of background before I even got into the financial industry.
Yes,
So I actually studied makeup artistry and interior design.
Okay.
And then for some reason, I decided to go travel after that. And then when I came back, I realized, oh my goodness, I need to get responsible. So my dad actually said, come into the business, right? And I think that was pretty much a starting point for me and a good solid point, because traveling for years, I mean, you just don't want to settle down. You just don't. So I kind of found that at that particular point a little bit more grounding for me. The makeup industry and all of that, was just so, the hours weren't great. I mean, you're working on sets and you have to be there at 3 o'clock in the morning and you're working for hours. So I kind of felt like that wasn't entirely what I wanted to do.
Yeah.
Longest story short, got into the financial industry in 2004. And then I just continued. And I guess my strengths were definitely, I'm not a salesperson. I was thrown into sales and I did well.
It's amazing how that happens. It's like, I look at it. So Jason is a salesman.
Yes.
Right. I'm a salesman. Like that similar kind of that vibe and that hustle and whatever else. But I find so many people, because if you look at the world as an industry, like a business full stop, 70% of the work is probably sales.
100%.
And then like you all these people that are not salespeople thrown into
the sales environment.
So
I'm quite the opposite of a salesperson. I will give everything away for free. So you must understand my dynamic of being put in that position. But I did it. So eventually down the line, I decided, look, I think my strengths are more operational and manageable, in terms of managing. So eventually I went into that side. After a while, my dad decided to resign. So he sold over his shares to me and my other brother at that particular point. And then we became obviously, the sole owners of the company.
Yeah.
I think that was around about 2016. But by 2019, I was almost 40. And I just felt to myself like, this is not the path that I should be on.
Yeah.
Like I said, I became despondent. I became depressed. And I just felt like this cannot be everything. And then I needed to go deep, I needed to do some soul searching, because I think a lot of our choices are traditionally kind of cultivated through our upbringing. The traditional, you need to go through school, you need to go to college, you need to find somebody, you need to get engaged, you need to have get married and then have children and then have a successful career. I just felt that was an empty space for me.
Yeah.
So
I mean, it is like, the three, I think it was Jordan Peterson or someone like that. They took the stats from Pew Research and they said, well, if you want to be in the middle class, so either like go from lower class into the middle class, or be in the middle class and make it kind of towards the top of the middle class, you need to finish school, you need to get a job, and you need to be married before you have kids. And those three things are the
pillars
sort
of our foundation.
Yeah, that's the criteria that gets you to mediocrity, I think maybe is the right.
It is. Inverted commas.
Inverted commas.
If you believe in it, and I think for me, my disillusionment was one of my most powerful aspects at the time. I didn't feel like it. Trust me. I mean, feeling that this can't be it. It wasn't like a call that I didn't want to end my life or anything like that.
No,
but I wasn't happy to go on with that specific life.
Yeah.
So eventually what I did is, and guess what? It's not a leap of faith. It is a gigantic, ginormous, as in I'm going to go free fall off a cliff right now, because I don't know what's waiting for me on the other side, because we only know what we know. Yeah. And then we kind of enjoy the comfort that comes with that. And I mean, the corporate world was great. There is the money, that's good. You have everything that you are prescribed to have.
Yeah.
But that emptiness, it's there and it's real. Yeah. And what do you do with that?
Yeah.
So, sorry, if you had to literally question yourself to the point where you start asking yourself honest questions and you realize that a lot of the choices you have made along the way are yours. You can't blame it on anyone else. So who can fix it? Only you can fix it.
Yes.
And that's where things got really real for me.
So that's ownership.
That's ownership. Ownership, accountability, ownership. And again, not pointing fingers, not coming up as a victim, not blaming anyone else for your scenario.
Yeah.
And that's where the hard work started. Honestly, the hard work.
I suppose as you say victim, and it's easy. So if you look at the world today, it's like we're just made up of victims almost. It's like, well, it's not my fault. It's the government. No, it's not my fault. It's my parents. It's not my fault. Parents weren't there enough. Okay, cool. The next guy, parents are there too much. I always joke about like metal bands and you hear these guys screaming into the mic and it's like, well, either his dad didn't hug him enough or his dad hugged him too much. It's like, it's one of what makes you so angry, But how do you, and then I suppose as a woman, it's easier to play that victim card because there is a sort of socially it's easier to go, well, I'm a girl. So yes, I'm, on that bottom foot. And I was looking at your Facebook profile earlier in the week, and it's got like lady boss. And I was like, yeah, okay, there's someone who's taken on this ownership. And my experience of you has always been that.
Yeah.
So I mean, like you say, like you were in that office. You guys had quite a nice office there in Somerset West. Or
Yes.
I don't know if it was that technically Strand. I mean, it's on the other side of the highway.
It's on the
N2. And I remember looking at that office, and I remember looking at you even. And when I had my staff were coming in with like meals and stuff back in the day.
Our lunches.
Yes, yeah. And I was like, yo, that's the dream. And you weren't living your dream.
It was an empty box, you know.
Yeah.
But I think it was also a very necessary box. Remember, there's certain mindsets that we have to break for ourselves.
Yeah.
And because we're so conditioned, it's very difficult to break that until you really sit down and you start stripping away the layers.
Yeah.
And for me, I mean, I have a beautiful family. Don't get me wrong. And we do have our challenges. Let me not paint the wrong picture here. It's not all peachy and perfect, but they are great. When we need to be there for each other, we are. However, the inherited belief systems, the understanding of how things should play out and how you should be, that was a very big thing I had to debunk.
Yes.
So these core beliefs that I had entrenched in my life and made decisions based on them, I needed to rewire that stuff very quickly.
Yeah. What was that? What was it for you? What was the box that you felt you were in or were expected to be in? Or what was that box?
You know, being the only daughter in the family, there was a strong stigma that girls kind of just need to succumb and, you know, just need to follow. Didn't have a voice. Not as strong as what the boys did. And I needed to break that for myself because there was a lot of validation that I needed constantly in order for me to feel like I was making a good choice or a bad choice. There was just so definitely that was a big one, just knowing who I was and not having to constantly please everybody, because you know, happiness is not your responsibility. It is for yourself. Not other people's happiness is not your responsibility.
Oh, I'm glad you said
so
that.
That was a tough one for me. I mean, it's easier spoken than it is to actually physically deal with it. But the thing is, once you start tackling these little things for yourself, and again, it must resonate with you, because if it doesn't, you're not going to break through it. And once I started breaking and chipping away at this, I started seeing and feeling myself again for the first time in a very long time. That inner child starts coming out again instead of what this world has created. So that's a lot there.
I suppose what's the saying? If you do what you love, you will never work another day in your life.
And again, like I think, and again, I don't blame my parents, right?
No, of course
they
not,
always said you need to work hard.
Yes.
Never ever did they go with you need to do with what you do what you love. So again, you know, they were doing what they knew.
Yes.
But
so were you putting some of that on yourself, and like looking at life and looking at, well, I see here's the world, and I need to fit this mold. You know, like you say, it's not necessarily your folks. Your folks work hard to do this, be diligent, blah blah blah.
Yeah, look, I mean, the way that I was perceiving things wasn't naturally resonating with who I naturally am.
Yes.
But I was doing everything to fit the box that everyone needed me to be. But in the same sense, I lost myself.
Yes. Yeah, because you're now trying to become something or someone that you're not.
100%.
Okay. Well, you see, but I mean, yeah. So I've experienced the same kind of thing in my life. I brought it up. I can't remember who I was chatting to. I think it might have been Carl Puller, and I said, like, one of the comments that I've had in my life was people like, "Yo, Des, you've got all of this what's the word I'm looking for? Potential. If only you'll do it my way."
That's not potential.
And I'm like, what do you mean?
Wow.
Like, I can't. If I do it your way, then I'm not doing it in the way that it makes sense for me to do it.
100%.
And that's a tough one to break through.
And that's exactly it. So meeting everyone's expectation of who you should be is a huge one to debunk as well, because everyone has an understanding of who they want you to be.
Yes.
But yet, are they truly capable of it, you know, loving you or appreciating you just the way you are? And so this is where the journey begins for each individual, you know, and the time frame is insignificant, where I said to myself, sure, I've gotten to 40 and I'm like, I need to reroute, you know, 180-degree turnaround, come on. But, you know, there was no timeline for me. I had to get there when it was the right time for me, and I had to get real with myself. And, you know, it's never too late.
Yeah.
Never too late.
Yeah.
Never.
Yeah. Okay, cool. So out of the financial industry, and then you went and did, I mean, I want to say a 180 almost, and it's not. I don't think there is an angle that correctly sort of says where you went to. Which,
no.
I mean,
So my natural, so free falling, no ropes, no nothing, just taking a huge leap, right, and just going into the abyss of the unknown. I realized there was one fundamental thing I needed to get right. I needed to reconnect with myself.
Yes.
Then I was like, okay, with that in mind, what do I do? How do I do this? So
you
again,
still have to
for
pay
me,
bills.
Precisely.
Yeah.
There's still the responsibility of life that is attached to it. So with that, I decided that the best way for me to do this is in nature. And I could not have been more thankful and grateful for that opportunity, because that is where my physical journey started beginning, like the independent, doing this whole thing on your own, you know, what you want to do. So reconnection was important. And then once I got grounded, then you won't believe it, the benefits of getting reconnected to yourself and the way that things naturally gravitate towards you is unbelievable. I've had some profound moments just sitting there thinking, I can't believe this is actually happening. You know, the mindset and the mind shift is one element of it, but when things start coming your way, you start realizing that there's a bigger picture and a bigger power that's at play.
I'm kind of laughing inside because you're using all of these words, and we haven't mentioned what it is that you went into, which is a garden service, for lack of a better word.
Nature.
You were cutting grass.
Yes, cutting grass.
I mean, you go from the financial world into, it's called Cloverleaf, right?
Yes, Cloverleaf, yes.
And so you go from this high-flying suit and tie kind of environment with, you know, all these, you know, millions and millions of rands of people's money that you guys are investing and looking after.
That's right.
And then you go into cutting people's grass.
Yeah.
Like, was that step did you have it lined up already, or was there like a little bit of a precipice that you had to navigate in between?
So I actually bought Cloverleaf Services in 2013 from another gentleman. Then my uncle moved from Durban to Cape Town because he actually lost his job. So I said to him, you take over, okay, because he needed that. So it was always it was there from 2013. Then he took it
like
over.
A little side hustle.
Yeah,
almost.
side hustle, yeah. And then in 2019, he decided that he wants to go back to Durban. So I said to him, yeah, those questions I don't ask. And then eventually I said to him, can I please buy it back? And he said yes. And that's where, so it was. I think I left the corporate world in 2021.
Okay.
It was maybe even a year. No, it was probably 2 years after I took Cloverleaf back on.
Yeah, it must have been 2020, 2021 around there, because that's when I was in the lawnmower industry for most of those years while you were figuring all of that out. And then I ended up at a lawnmower shop. That's right. And then we started talking around chainsaws,
bringing me parts and all kinds of stuff, teaching me about parts.
Jeepers, yeah. Okay. So now you've got this
business.
So
from Cloverleaf, I left the corporate world in October. Then I was full steam ahead, obviously trying to go into Cloverleaf space. Eventually, another client of mine, I was a client of him. He used to sell compost.
Okay.
Right?
Yeah.
And he says to me, he's leaving for Durban. I don't know what it is about Durban, to be quite honest.
I even did it. I went for 6 months and came back.
Seems to be something there.
No.
And eventually I said to him, but now what? I need this compost. I don't want any other compost. And he said to me, Joni, you can have the business. So these were one of those profound moments again that you're going, and it's almost like these little confirmation markers as you're going along that you're kind of in the right place. Keep on. And then so boom, bang, compost. Who knew? That changed my life. That I didn't see coming, but huge. Yeah. Okay, huge. Yeah. Then eventually, during the next 6 months of being in Cloverleaf, another mate of mine, I've actually been going to him for 13 years for massages. they lost their business during COVID. And so they're planning on moving overseas. And he had this organic, pure, natural range that he had formulated, where he only uses things that are of benefits and are natural.
Yeah.
And he said, Joni, do you want this business? I'm like, who am I to say no? The universe is working here, right?
Yeah. Oh, I mean, it's going to be put onto your plate. You might as well eat it.
And funny how, again, these little extensions of going into nature, getting reconnected, and then these little pathways that have been created. And I said, I know very little about this, but let me do it.
Yes.
And just going into that space has been a huge eye-opener for me, learning what beautiful benefits there are in nature that we have forgotten about. And the information is kind of almost lost, but bringing it back. So again, I gravitated towards it. It resonated with me, and boom, bang, the Earthology was created.
So, I mean, you are bumping into these ideas. I mean, but I think it's, so I mean, in my life, I have had similar in the last, say, year, a little bit longer, say 16 months, where the same kind of thing is like, okay, cool, you join, and I joined a company, and then that bumped me into some people, and that ended up starting a business as side hustle. Then that side hustle allowed me to buy into another company, and that is now, we're in the growth phase. We're like 2 months into growing this other little business, which is in KZN, oddly enough. And
something
then,
there.
Yeah, something there. And then I was just sort of like the similarities, at least, that I've found between what you've just said is I was at a mate of mine the other day, and we were chatting, and now we're talking about potentially me buying into his business as well. Because like, he's like, I can do the business. I'm good at what I do, but I can't do the ops and the management and the marketing of it. I'm like, okay, well, I can do that. The sales of it, almost, But do you think these opportunities are bumping into you just because there's just so many opportunities in the world? Or are you open to it? Are you hunting them? Or what do you think the special source is there?
Yeah, I think the definition of opportunity drastically changes.
Yeah.
From what, when you're particularly prescribing to what the world needs you to be and fit into, versus when you decide that you want to go outside of that. So opportunity, you attract.
Yes.
Octopuses. No, opportunities.
Attract octopi.
There you go. You literally they start just coming to you.
Yes.
And I think the beautiful thing is they are more aligned with what you want than prior. I think there's opportunities all around for everyone all the time. But when you get it almost feels like confirmations.
Yes.
Not that there are opportunities, but they're confirmations, because you're just like, wow, that feels good, that looks good, that's something I like.
Yes.
Versus something that you just kind of have to kind of
do for the money.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Okay, I like that. That's interesting. So, I mean, so you've been through. Like, I'm enjoying listening to this story because, like, I knew you from the finance side, and then I knew you a little bit into your the Clover leaf side of things. Earthology is, in terms of when I look at you and what I know of you, it's a natural fit, and it seems to work really well. What's the future of that now? What do you?
So let's quickly go back a little bit, right, to lead us up to where this all is currently. So for me, once I left the corporate world, you must understand, I needed to really understand what I want from life.
Yes.
I want peace, and I want to find happiness and fulfillment, but not in materialistic things.
Sure.
Okay. So things that are appealing to me today were not appealing to me a year ago.
Yes.
So things like sustainable lifestyle, living within your means, anything more than what you want is poison. Those are kind of little notes that I have in my back pocket that help me make decisions going forward.
Yeah.
So Earthology, funny enough, when that opportunity came along, it rode on all of that. So it was like, wow, again, I understand what I am more consciously aware and intentional with what I want.
Yeah.
And then the universe sort of allows those opportunities to float your way. So Earthology, I want it to be organic in its natural state that it is, but also for me, I'm not pushing, I'm not forcing. It must develop in its own natural time, because that is what I want.
Yeah.
And I don't want it to become a commercialized thing in any shape, form, or size. It's a bespoke product,
Yeah.
handcrafted, made with the most incredible ingredients. So the people that get to use it, they will come back.
Yeah.
Because you can't just get it anywhere.
Yes.
Yeah. So those are the little seeds that I want to plant, is where nature and people get connected again through the small stuff, not through convenience, not through the commercialized overdoing of certain things, the mass production, just the small stuff. And if Earthology has a voice, it's each one teach one. So the information I know, I don't want to hold on to it. I want to be able to provide people with as much information about it and the reasoning behind it and why it's good for you, you know. So that's the voice behind Earthology.
Yeah. So what is, and then what is Earthology exactly? So I haven't looked outside of, I looked in your Facebook profile a little bit and I've seen a little bit of what it is. I kind of, sometimes with these kinds of things, especially when I know people, I try to limit what I go and look at, because otherwise this conversation ends up being like, so I know this and this and this, now tell me about it, and then it becomes weird. And so
you already know.
Yeah, exactly. I already know, but the people watching don't. So it's like, it kind of feels kind of weird for me. But so I haven't looked at it. Outside of natural, I saw Epsom salts.
Yeah.
And
that all you saw?
I saw Epsom salts, and I think I saw a cream. So I'm assuming it's some kind of a beauty range, or
I'm actually
skincare range.
I'm still trying to, for now, the generic understanding is there is a beauty range, which is like a range of moisturizers, serums, body butters, hand and nail buttons, and the bath soaks, which is the Epsom, and the body scrubs.
Epsom salts.
They're magical.
I throw it in the bath and just I blom in the bath with that stuff.
20 minutes, man, and then you're like a new human. So my Epsom salts, I don't just use Epsom salts. There is Dead Sea salts.
Okay.
There is magnesium. There is, obviously, there's a bunch of essential oils that get put in there very specifically to target, specific things. But in all honesty, it's not just your normal. So with those combinations of things, I mean, you are literally getting yourself into a beautiful bath where you get some time just to relax and unwind, but at the same token, you're feeding your body with what it really actually needs to just kind of like pull it all together. And it also, there's detoxing properties, etc., etc. So I'm trying to
stop
take
you right there?
Yes,
sorry, just gonna wait for Alanis Morissette over here to I don't ever have this. This is beyond what I can edit out, so that's why I wanted to stop it. I'll chop it, or I'll turn it into something funny.
Okay,
but
cool.
Every now and then, this is a chick from Romans outside, and she loves to sing when she walks
that's
past.
good. She's a happy person.
She is. Drives me nuts when I'm trying to record.
Like,
I've asked everybody around here, like, guys, please just keep it down when I'm recording, and I'll go and tell everyone when I am. But
not today.
Not today, sunshine. Not today, sunshine. Okay, sorry. So we were on Earthology. You had told us about.
Okay, so my point is that taking nature and combining the elements of it into a little package of beauty that is just harmonious in terms of your well-being is kind of the idea and the foundation of Earthology. So a lot of the oils that I use, they obviously are good for you for many different reasons, but at the same token, I kind of try and, because it's a rat race out there, it's crazy, madness. I try and use oils that kind of are soothing, calming, mood stabilizers, just kind of bring you back into a relaxing present state.
Yes.
Very important, because it's missing. It's missing out there.
Yeah.
And,
well,
and I know, because I was missing myself. Yeah.
I mean, the world is, I look at when I started my career, and I mean, I was hustling from young, so like 15, 16 years old. I was out there and trying to make money and whatnot. And now I'm 41 this year. So it's
join the 40s, huh?
Right? I thought 30 was big, because I kind of held on to my 20s. I was like, I mean, I'm barely into my 30s, like I'm 30. I'm not 31 yet. 31 was a tough one. And then now that I'm like I hit 40, and I'm like, yo, hold on.
Big boy pants.
Yeah. And I mean, I've worked in Joburg and I worked corporate, and I've done that. And that was rat race big time.
Yeah.
And the other day I had a client of mine from Joburg phone me up and say, hey, Des, I need someone to just represent my business here in Cape Town. Would you mind going to a meeting for me? So I'm like, yeah, cool. No stress. Off I go. And I was transported back to the rat race. And I was like, and I work IT, which is rat race, but the way we are doing it is not rat race. It's more chilled out.
Yes.
We go with smaller clients and we don't do the big stuff. And this thing was huge. 15 million rand deal, like monstrous thing.
Yeah.
You know, there was government involved and, you know, all this kind of jazz.
Yeah.
And I was like, yo, there's people living out here with this crazy thing. And then I kind of sort of had a retrospective moment. And I was like, hold on. What I'm doing, what I feel is chilled, isn't actually chilled. It's more rat race-ish than what I was when I was doing corporates.
Yeah.
And I'm like, this whole world just keeps getting faster and faster and faster. Like,
exactly.
And then I'm assuming this is what you're trying to do here is
Yes.
to bring or have a product or a range of products at least to be able to say, okay, hold on, you're at home, you're in your own space, let's pull you back to
exactly.
reality or to
present.
Some
Let's bring this back to the present, you know, and let's help, because I mean, in the corporate world, just to go into that, I suffered terribly from anxiety. It was obviously just a build-up of everything and just the expectations and the demands, and it was a terrible place, you know. And I think anxiety in itself is so part and parcel of life today for every human being, whether it's on a small scale or a large scale. So again, when you get home, why do you want to be anxious? You know, why do you want to carry that into that space? I mean, a home is a safe space and it's a clean space. So for me, again, even if you're not at home and you're at the office and you take out my hand cream, it's like, it honestly is the most incredible hand cream. But once you put it on, it immediately relaxes you.
Yes.
So again, I'm trying to look for a name for something other than a beauty product, because it's not that. And also most of my products have got healing properties in them as well. So there's an element. Most people that have used my hand cream, they say to me, I had eczema and I do not have eczema anymore. I'm like, okay, well,
that's fantastic.
That is good, you know. So I think that's it. And again, once again, we buy stuff because it's convenient, but we don't even know what's ultimately in there or where it's come from. The products that I source, I know exactly where it's come from. Fantastic. And I know exactly how it's been processed and how it's landed up on my doorstep. So it's not a chain reaction of craziness. It's pure process.
Yeah.
And then also part of the business, when I got given it, we got given a distill machine as well. So I've learned the art of distilling.
Fantastic.
I have,
like, I mean, are we distilling proper booze here, or are you
natural
making gin?
So there is that element of distilling, but then so buchu, for example, buchu, we buy the buchu and then we distill it ourselves. And again, how beautiful is that? Like, just the understanding when you're getting something directly from nature.
Yes.
And you are literally putting it through a process where you have the pureness of it and the benefits that come with it. You can't just take that. You know, there's some sort of, I'm going to use magic for a better lack of a word, but magic's the right word, is that there's something beautiful in it. And we almost go back to a primitive state, right? Where we understand that in the beginning, we just really needed to develop the land and take from the land, but take only what we needed instead of it becoming a greedy, mass-filled world. And that's exactly it, you know? So I love the process of being really connected in nature, but also how nature just blesses everything all the time. You know, you just need to be there to be blessed.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you go and ask people, like most people, normal. Okay, define normal. But if you go and ask a normal person, or I mean, what is it that you would want? Most people want a cottage on a farm, on the side of a mountain, maybe, and maybe out of ignorance because they don't understand what farming and whatever else actually takes.
Yeah, there's a lot of hard work actually.
But I think the thing of just being in nature and being able to
peace, quiet,
wake up, you know, that quintessential image of opening up the door and there's like the little lake in front of you and a mountain behind and a little bit of grass and everyone goes and that's that simplicity, that dream, that simplicity.
And again, so we're using words now, but in the greater scheme of things, simplicity has been lost by the craziness that time has created. And when I say time is actually not the creator, it's the problem. We never have enough of it. However, if we actually just brought things back to simplicity again, we could all breathe. Yes. We can all take a deep, wonderful breath, and we can also just be in a moment. How many moments do you feel you experience? You know, when you just presently just switch off, everything is out, and you can just be.
Yeah. No, it's min. It's
min.
min. Yeah.
Exactly.
You've got to, I mean, and nowadays you've got to go, you almost have to go somewhere to do that. You have to drive out to Vergelegen, walk past all the restaurants and get
and
out
hopefully
into
get
the
to a
back
part
end,
where there's nobody.
and then there's nobody. It's like, oh, this is beautiful. And then some little 6-year-old terrorist comes like, running past or whatever. But you've now, I mean, back in the day, it was, I mean, look, the past had its own issues and whatever else, but back in the day you could get to nature more easier without fences or without trespassing on someone else's property. And I remember going fishing when I was a kid and that kind of thing. You can't really, there's very few places nowadays that you can do that.
That leads itself to that. But there are still moments, and that's I think again, life has become too busy. Number one. Number two, when we do get home, there's a lot more, again, it doesn't stop there. There's a lot of responsibilities that still need to continue there. So just time in itself, you can feel it. It's rushing. And it's because life has become too busy for us just to shut down. And that's the most important thing. We actually do need to shut down. Because if we don't, you really do become completely emotionally unstable.
Yes.
And once that happens, there's a whole lot of other kickoffs. It leads to stress manifests differently in your body. So I mean, I can talk about this for days. But Earthology is helping me again just spread a voice and spread a word that it's okay. You can take time to have a bath. Yes, some really good stuff to take a bath with. Yes. You're gonna feel amazing afterwards. The stuff that you're putting on your body is completely natural. There's no man-made chemicals in here. It's pure. It's good for you. That's it.
Yeah. You mentioned something earlier. I'm going to get the exact words wrong, but you said, so you did say living within your means and then not wanting
anything
much.
More than what you want is poison.
Anything more than what you want is poison.
Sorry, anything more than you need is poison.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right,
so want, that is that we all want lots of things, but anything more than you need is poison. And I mean, just hearing that changed a lot for me.
Go dive into that for me a little bit. I'm keen to hear
we're going to go into that
because it's countercultural.
Yeah.
So 100%. Right now it is okay. I mean, the world we live in, 2024, it's become Instagram or TikTok famous. Get a whole bunch of marketing, jobs or whatever else where you sell a product that you say you believe in but don't, and then make a $1 billion. That seems to be the dream. Everyone wants to be Elon Musk or Jeff Bezos or whatever else, and you are going, well, no.
Yeah, it's against the stream. So the fundamental of anything more than what you need is poison for you. We can break it down into many different ways, and each person is probably going to break it down into their own understanding of it. Yeah. But for me, when you come to understand what you want to ultimately achieve in life, you need to settle on that. Okay, it's not this continuous reaching for the next, whereas you can't even celebrate the milestones that you've achieved within your spectrum of design. Yeah. So what happens is we keep on chasing. Keep on. And eventually, again, man-made stuff, materialistic stuff doesn't make you feel full. It doesn't fulfill you. So for me, I got to a place where I said to myself, Joni, what is it that you want to, what fills you? Okay. Yes. It's not this man-made stuff. So now I start realizing what around me serves a purpose. And guess what? I see that there's a lot of stuff around me that it's nonsense. And I'm slaving. I'm going to change that word. Slaving away for things I don't need, and I'm still feeling empty. Yeah, and
stuff you maybe don't even really want.
No, it's something that
the fancy R2 million Audi or the 6-bedroom R5 million house.
How many cars do you need? You know what I'm saying? How many cars do you? Yeah. So I mean, I looked at my life and I had to take a recon and realize that the things that are important for survival. Basic shelter, food, a roof over my head. Those are very important things. Yeah. Then nothing without sacrifice. Okay. So we understand that I needed to do 180 to now move into this mold. So I had to declutter. I had to get rid of. And again, it wasn't a comfortable, it was a sand in my wetsuit kind of experience. But once I got through that, I was just like, I can feel lighter. Yeah. I don't feel the weight of it anymore. Yeah. So again, what the world perceives as successful isn't necessarily what I see as successful.
Yeah. Yeah. I like it. I like it. I'm enjoying living vicariously through your journey here. It's
good.
So the world, the way things have been. So give me stumble over my words here. Make sure I don't get cancelled when I say it. There seems to be a big, at the moment, competition between guys and girls. If you look into social media and everything else, it's the guys on the one side. I think maybe there's a few more aspects to it, but the big global thing is the guys on the one side, the girls on the other side, and there's this huge sort of boxing match between the two, where nowadays there seems to be a lot more feminizing of men, a lot more masculinizing of girls.
Yeah, I understand what you're saying.
Kind of thing. And you've come through, and if you look at it, where a lot of people say it's really hard for a woman to make it in business, really hard to make it in the corporate world, really hard to do this. You've, on the surface, and maybe this is sort of like the swan and the feet thing, or the duck and the feet thing, but you seem to have very gracefully, from what I've seen, navigated your way as a woman through this very potentially male-dominated world.
It's interesting that you bring that up. So that's, so my take on this, right, is seeing things in that way actually makes you either a victim or a victor. Okay, so if I understand masculine and I understand feminine, but the fact of the matter is that even me as a woman, I have some masculine energy inside of me as much as I have feminine. So those two can't fight.
Yes.
So instead of looking at it as a male and female thing, bring it back to yourself and realize that both of those energies exist inside of yourself, and how do you use them to actually go forward in life. So it's a struggle, don't get me wrong. I mean, and the outside world does dominate malely, and I don't say that with any disrespect. It is more kinder to men than it is to women, and just men kind of succeed a lot faster. However, I took those glasses off, I took those lenses, and I threw them in the dustbin, because I realized that if I want to achieve something, I'm going to do it despite the understanding that I'm carrying with me. And with that, I realized, but I carry both energies. And so how do I make them, compatible so that I can actually move in the direction I need to? So, we can look at it from an external point of view, but I internalize that, and then I just step forward one step at a time with that understanding.
That sort of, I don't care about anyone else. This is me.
Yeah, exactly. And I won't say I don't care about anyone else, but the caring was more centered. Like, I'm not doing anything to harm anyone. So one of my other little sticky notes in my back pocket is do no harm. I mean, there's different cultures, there's different religious understandings, there's different ideas and ideologies out there. But in all honesty, if you go with one thing, do no harm, there is nothing that can come back to you in a negative. Zero. So that's basically, again, a nice little pill of wisdom that I use daily, actually, in my life.
If you could speak to 20-year-old or 18-year-old Joni, you're coming out of school. We'll use you as an example. That should be great. So normally when I talk to, like I said, you were the first woman on the show. So all the guys I've spoken to, I always bring this guy Frikkie, and I go like, okay, if you're going to talk to young Frikkie, I have no idea who this Frikkie is or where, But if you were to talk to young Joni, or the girls that are now at that sort of 18 years old, maybe getting towards the end of school, going, what do I do, kind of thing. What advice? What advice at least? What would you impart, or what would you want? Because I know you want to give back from what I've seen, at least, and there's stuff. This is a platform. Look, you might only get 200 people that watch this.
It's fine. But, so 200 people that need to see it.
Well, there might be one, and that's the kind of
one that needs to.
Yes, that's the idea that I'm trying to push through and get out of my guests on this. What's that piece of advice?
What's a pull of wisdom?
What's that thing that you'd tell them to do?
So let's go to the age of 5, right? And I think that's for you and me. There's that person who we were at 5.
Yes.
Right? That young version of ourselves, it gets lost again because we're riding this wave of what is necessary, or what is, what's the right word? Acceptable,
yes. Yeah, socially acceptable.
There you go. So we lose an essence of ourselves in that journey. when you get to 18, I think the pressures of trying to make life decisions, what you need to be when what you need to go study or what career do you want, I think you need to take a break. Stop, pause that machine.
Yes.
Because I'm not saying you shouldn't. If you know without a shadow of doubt what you want to do it. But also, it's okay. This is my message. It's okay to pause and take a break and think about things instead of being pressurized and forced into something you're going to live with for the rest of your life. So I think that's basically it. And even with my own children. So talking to a younger version of myself, my kids, I've told them, I will never force you to do anything that I think you should do. You need to be able to make choices because you live with those choices and you're going to live with those consequences.
Oh,
I cannot take that away from you.
Yeah.
And so that's very important.
Yeah. I think the consequence thing is a huge one. Like it's something my dad raised me in. He let me make decisions from when I was very young.
You're gonna fall, hey?
He's like, okay, well, here's some things and here's the options, and he sort of like taught me critical thinking and taught me to cast into the future and go like, okay, me doing this now, whilst it might in the moment feel great, there are consequences to it, so like me in my 20s drinking lots of beer, it was a beer belly that at age 40 I'm still fighting. There's a consequence, and it's an interesting, because nowadays there are no consequences almost, or at least people seem to think they don't want to.
Again, they either blame the rest of the world, but they don't take ownership of their decision making. And so therefore, honestly, you need to be empowered. Your intuition needs to build. And the only way it can build is by the understanding is that when you make a decision, and you're entitled to, you have a right to, but you must understand there's either going to be good consequences or bad consequences, or there might even be no consequences. We're all eventually going to aim for the middle road, right, where there's no consequences. But in the beginning stages, it is a learning curve, and life lessons must be learned. But I can't learn your life lessons, Des, and you can't learn mine. We can only learn that, and that's a gift that we need to give to each other. So for example, me as a parent, the greatest gift I can give to my children is the empowering. Make your decision. I will be there to help you pick up the pieces. I'm not going to say I told you so. Because I don't do the shaming thing whatsoever. But the fact of the matter is, learn quickly. Okay, because you can either get burnt badly, and some choices, right? There's some choices that you make that there are no comebacks. So just play within the lifesaver guard range. Don't go do stupid things.
So, I mean, like you said, that middle of the road, you could technically live your life in a very middle of the road kind of thing, make no waves, live in complete utter, it doesn't exist, but complete utter mediocrity, and maybe get through the other end and whatever. That's not the way that you live. That's not the way you have lived. You've taken some serious risks in leaving a great, very secure, you could have worked your corporate job for the rest of your life. You could have died there. You would have had all the money that you needed and more. You could have sent your kids to the absolute best of the best schools, had given them a massive leg up in terms of that whole thing. And then you were like, okay, hold on, my sanity and my peace and all of this, you needed to make a decision for yourself. You took a big step. And what is the thought process behind that? The consequences, like if you were to go back and try and unpack that decision, I'm saying, okay, cool, I'm leaving behind this corporate job and I'm moving into this thing. I'm trying to kind of get into what was your thought process?
There's two things I want to answer within those words that you've just spoken. Is that mediocrity, right? Not one of us are born mediocre. What's the right word? Mediocre. Thank you. Lots of speaking.
We were like getting some serious words today. Like using all the big ones.
No one is born mediocre. So the fact is, again, it can be somebody's choice to be mediocre, but guess what? Then those are the consequences. They're never going to experience the other side of things, or being able to tap into their true, authentic self and give that gift to the world. Okay, number one. Number two, my decision making around, leaving that space. I was not going to sacrifice myself anymore for this man-made rat race. So those were my decisions that I needed to come to terms with. Like, I could have continued with it, trust me, and call it comfortable for the sake of everyone's understanding. But it brought me no comfort. It brought me no joy. It brought me no peace. Stressed out, 40 years old, disillusioned, depressed. The despondency was the worst. You know, when you're actually like, what is the point? What is the point? And I realized, Joni, you come on, girl. This is not how it's supposed to go down. And who has the power to turn this around? You do. So I had to, again, it wasn't an easy step.
Yes.
It is not. You are going to go through some stuff.
Yes.
But you know what? You get real with yourself.
Yeah.
And that's the most important.
Yeah. And that was a you step.
Yeah.
Because that corporate finance business is still running.
Yes.
Still has staff, still has your butt is running it, I'm assuming.
Yes.
So now, and from what I understand and see, your brother seems to enjoy it. So he's got, like, for him,
that was his thing.
It's a good fit.
Yeah.
And so it's
that's
like,
why there's no right or wrong. Please don't. There's no judgment in terms of anyone's life choices. Again, like I said, we don't point fingers and say we told you so. However, each person is very unique and very different, and their needs are different, right? So yes, that is his fit, but mine wasn't. You know, and I don't. That is something that I had to embark on. Not he could have made the decision for me. Nobody. I had to. Do those steps.
Do it for yourself.
Yes.
Okay, I've been thinking of a segment that I want to do within the podcast, and it's going to make, hopefully, for a great little, like, 1 minute sound bite that I'll use. And you're the first person that I'm going to actually ask the question.
Cool.
Yes.
First go at this. I'm happy.
We're breaking ground here.
Yay!
It's actually quite interesting. Like the next 4 out of 5 guests are women.
Love it.
It's great. So
Done.
I've got you in here now. Next week, Debbie Duvall. I don't know if you know. She's my cousin's wife.
Okay.
She's coming on. She just ran 40 something Ks in 2 days up and down a mountain. Trail running thing. I have no idea how.
I'll leave that to Debbie.
I'm gonna love unpacking that with her. And then I've got another lady, who's a psychologist, coming on.
Lovely.
And it's been great. Like, I started off with all these guys, and then I was like, I need to get some girls on. And now all of a sudden with a bunch of girls, and it's like, I'm actually quite stoked to and I've enjoyed hearing your side of things, which is different to a guy's sort of mentality. I think a certain way, which is maybe more guy masculine related. And then hearing from the other side, it gives me some kind of understanding.
There you go.
Helps
you
me
see,
treat people better.
We were always meant to add to each other.
Absolutely.
Never take away. Yes.
Okay, so here's the question, and you can answer it literally however you want, minute,
no
2
right
minutes,
or
whatever.
wrong.
No right or wrong. The name of the podcast is Grow a Pair Podcast. Now, I get sometimes girls look at me and go, "Oh, Grow a Pair, really? This is a guy thing." I'm like, well, no. And my joke is I make fun of awkward situations.
Yeah.
And I always say, well, grow a pair of ovaries. I mean, that's the goal. That's the goal. It's not a pair of anything. It's just, it's getting up and doing the thing behind it. What does growing a pair mean to you?
Okay. So I think growing a pair is not a male or female context, right? Growing a pair means that you literally are able to step outside of yourself, right? And produce another side of yourself. So grow a pair. So you don't have to be this person you thought you are currently and that you don't think you have opportunity. But if you grow a pair, honestly, you have a different version of yourself out there. So I think in all honesty, and that's sort of like the subliminal understanding for myself of grow a pair. I wouldn't think of it in a male or a female version. Get out there and do something special. You go out there and yourself. Be you.
Love it.
You do
Love
you.
It.
Yes.
That is fantastic. Okay, Joni, where do people find your businesses? You're not a social media personality, so it's an easy question to ask those types of people that come in. I'm like, so where do people find you? Like,
so I might not be a socialite or influencer.
Well, you have 5,500 people that follow you on Facebook.
Yes.
On your personal profile, which is big.
Yeah.
Like That's big.
It's a pool, hey.
Yeah.
So basically, I am on social media. So you can get me on Instagram. You can get me on Facebook. You can get me. I have my own websites. Both companies have their own websites.
Cool.
Clover Services. .co.za and Earthology online.
Okay.
So yeah, that's a beautiful thing about it.
Cool. We'll
all
stick
there.
We'll stick those all in the description of the video.
Yes.
And
okay,
whatnot.
fantastic.
Thank you so much for coming through.
Thank you for having me, Des. Yeah.
Enjoyed number one catching up with you.
That's good. It was good to catch up.
Yeah, just being able to get a lady in and be able to talk and get a different perspective on life and building businesses and
and I'm also I'm happy that you had me and we're able to listen to my journey, and it's been amazing to watch you and your journey. So I only wish you the greatest of bestest of everything, and I'm here for you, rooting for you all the way.
Thank you. Yeah. It's nice. So, and that's the amazing thing. It's nice having support. You didn't have to drive all the way from Somerset West, to come to Belleville to sit here and talk
Why
nonsense
not
for an
if
hour.
not, Sam?
Well, yes, but you didn't have to.
No.
And that's the nice thing is I've got this awesome network of people that for the most part are very happy to support me in this thing that could turn into absolutely nothing or could become, my dream is to be accused of trying to copy Joe Rogan. That's my dream.
Oh, that's good. I like it.
That's the dream. I'm like, okay, everyone's like, I want to be Joe Rogan. I don't want to be him.
Yes.
But if the day I get accused.
Something to aspire to.
Yeah. That's
Got it.
Oh, you're just trying to be Joe Rogan. I'd be like, ha, made it.
Well, I aspire with you.
That's fantastic. Awesome. Cool. Thank you so much.
Pleasure.
And I'm stoked. Grow a pair.